Today's topic of discussion is mobile enablement for the enterprise and how Champion's mobility strategy can help customers define their mobile initiative. We believe in being vendor agnostic and believe that we have to take a deep dive to understand each customer's needs, and that'll help us guide the choices made and ultimately dictate the proper solution for any customer's enterprise mobility requirements. In order to do that, we have to understand what mobility is in terms of IT and what exactly does it mean to manage it. To help us, we come up with our mobility checklist. This defines our understanding of mobility in terms of IT, determining what your mobile devices are, what your deployment strategy and options are, and of course making your users productive, all the while adhering to company policy and security concerns. Taking our checklist, we'll now walk through each one of them, try to explain from a high level what every one of these mean, and help us determine what our mobility requirements are for our organization. First of all is defining all the acronyms used in mobility. Right away we come up with MDM, or Mobile Device Management. And the goal of mobile device management is to be able to deploy to our mobile devices, secure, integrate them, and keep them secure, all the while keeping the user productive and keeping corporate data safe. Some of the key features in mobile device management that any vendor should be able to support is the ability to manage the device over the air, meaning from a cell tower network, not just over wireless. Being able to have visibility into the device's hardware, the software, security and network settings, and of course the ability to manipulate these settings according to company policy. As our mobile phones have gotten smarter and smarter, we have to go beyond just simple device management. We actually have to look at application management and treat these devices just like any other asset inside the IT organization, such as a desktop or laptop. The ability to control applications from the standpoint of delivering applications, licensing them, configuring, and even software metering them has become a huge impact in the mobility world. Any tool that you choose should have some of the common features, such as being able to deliver and block certain applications, secure the application itself, secure the container, which means offering a dual personality, separating business applications and data from personal applications and data, and able also to be able to do bulk purchases. So if an organization wishes to deliver applications to their employees, they should be able to bulk purchase for a reduced price from a vendor and be able to manage these applications across all mobile enterprise devices. Two other terms we can hear is mobile expense management, or MEM, and mobile information management. MEM, or mobile expense management, may not be a hot topic for IT. However, it could be for the organization. Simply to be able to produce reports showing the cost of this IT asset in any organization. Talk to your vendor and make sure that they can provide you with these reports, giving you the detailed ability to manage the expense of these reports, see the difference between roaming charges, and also be able to enforce policies to restrict roaming for both data and voice. Mobile information management, or MIM, is a topic of controlling the data that's actually delivered to the device. If your organization has a requirement to deliver data to end users' mobile devices, you have to understand where this data is coming from and how this data is going to be delivered to the devices. Of course, a lot of this comes with security concerns, especially if you're talking about any personal data, credit card information, or any sensitive data of the like. You want to make sure that you can deliver this information in a secure fashion and make sure that while it's on a device, this is also secure as well. We can start seeing how these different pieces of mobile environment start relating to each other. We want to be able to manage the device, deliver applications, but the information inside these applications can start dictating our choices of device management and application management. If I deliver personal information or secure data, should I only be able to open this within secured applications that are delivered to the device itself? Is the user enabled to copy this data? Can he edit the data? Do I need to collaborate with other users? These are some of the other topics that your organization needs to consider when choosing an MDM vendor and your requirements for mobility. Understanding your requirements on how you're going to deal with information management can be key in selecting an MDM vendor, simply because some vendors vary in their support of being able to manage the documents that are delivered to devices. Can they all do secure wipes? Can they do a complete device wipe or selective wipes? And do you have the need for things such as time bomb? Time bomb is simply the idea of having data stored on a device, and if that device does not check in with a certain amount of time, the data is automatically removed from the device, whether you chose to device wipe it or not. When we start combining all of these features together, that's when we truly have an Enterprise Mobile Management, or EMM, solution. When we think of mobility, what devices actually make up this mobile market? Immediately comes to mind is smartphones, but what about tablets? Do you know that some MDM solutions actually have support for laptops, desktops, and possibly even servers? Now, when we're talking about the servers, the desktops, and possibly even the laptops, most likely your organization probably has invested in an endpoint management solution, possibly Altiris, BigFix, or Landesk, to name a few. And these are much more comprehensive from what you can do with these devices as opposed to MDM support on them. While this is an interesting concept at this time, I'm going to take the look and say that most likely these elements are not needed, except maybe if it's a very small environment or possibly a remote office that might need a little support for the laptop environment. But most likely the servers and desktops are already being managed by something else. So let's exclude those from this topic at the moment. And let's focus on another subject called BYOD support. If you're not sure what BYOD means, it simply means bring your own device. I don't know the last time that you started at a company and had to bring your own servers, desktops, or laptops, but certainly when we talk about the mobility space, and especially in the range of smartphones, companies do support the idea of individuals bringing in their own mobile smart device and actually being able to use it for corporate functions, such as email, calendaring, document sharing, and so forth. And you can see how mobility has changed the landscape of IT. This whole concept of bring your own device has only started when smartphones really started having an impact in a corporate environment. Not too long ago, it was not uncommon to see someone with multiple devices around their belt. Personal phone, corporate phone, multiple pagers. That fad of having a BAT utility belt, however, has faded for the idea of having a smartphone with dual personalities. The dual personality bring your own device is totally different from a corporate-owned device, which can be completely locked down and even placed in a kiosk-style mode. If you think you're planning on supporting BYOD, you certainly want to make sure your MDM vendor has support for what is called a secure container, or that duality in mode, simply meaning it separates corporation data from the personal data on the phone, allowing you to make sure the corporate data is secure, and you can also wipe or remove that corporate applications and data from the phone if said user leaves the company at any point. Another topic of discussion is bulk buying support. If your organization is planning on rolling out a new mobile initiative and planning on buying a lot of mobile devices, some MDM vendors have relationships with certain manufacturers. For an example, the IBM and Apple relationship. If your organization is planning on rolling out this new mobile initiative and you need to bulk buy a bunch of equipment for mobility, the relationship between Apple and IBM allows you to buy and purchase these mobile devices at a discounted rate, have it pre-configured with your MDM solution, and you instantly have these devices enrolled in your MDM portal and can be shipped directly to the company or to the individual users. Coming to the next topic, does the OS and device matter when you're starting to pick your MDM solution? And the simple answer is yes. If we take a look at some of the most popular mobile devices, such as the iPhone, Android, Windows, or BlackBerry device, we're going to certainly see that the version of the operating system and the actual device itself will matter greatly in your MDM solution. For example, for the iPhone, the version of the iPhone, if it's in supervised mode or not, will definitely matter of what capabilities you can do from an MDM perspective. For all these devices, and no matter what MDM provider you choose, they can only do what the API of the vendor allows them to do, and we'll see this varies greatly across devices. In the case of Apple, when a device is in a supervised mode, from an MDM perspective, you have a lot more choices of restrictions that can be placed on a device. Supervised mode, however, does not support it in BYOD, simply because it's a configuration that has to be done at Apple, as an example in the bulk purchase program or with the Apple configurator. So it really drills down to a corporate-owned device. But your ability to really lock that phone down and maybe even put it in a kiosk mode is supported if it's supervised. Apple, however, since it is a single vendor, You will notice that no matter what version of the Apple you have, and if you're at least running an OS of 6 and above, the capabilities that you will be able to do from an MDM perspective, regardless of which MDM provider you choose, will be very consistent. When moving over to the Android platform, however, whether it's BYOD or corporate owned, we are very dependent on the type of hardware that is being supported, simply because it's not a single vendor that supplies the hardware, but multiple vendors from a hardware perspective give phones out that run the Android operating system. The APIs that Android has is consistent on the phone, but some hardware simply does not support some of the API calls. Perfect example is Samsung Knox, which is a phone that is designed for the corporate systems, and the capabilities on the Knox from any MDM solution will be higher than most other Android devices. Android is kind of considered the wild, wild west when supporting it from an MDM solution. From the Windows phone, the version of the Windows, the certificates that have to be in place, not a big deal, but we will see more consistency on the Windows phone, again, simply because it's a single vendor producing the phone. And of course, in the BlackBerry area, we definitely have a phone that was designed for corporate use. You do have to have a certain version of the hardware in the OS for perfect MDM solution, and you also need a BES server that can integrate with your MDM provider of choice. And while this is not a complete list of the smartphones that are available for you, you do have to have some understanding of what your goals are as a corporation, whether they're corporate owned or BYOD, and what type of policies you want to put in place. And that can be dictated or influenced by the type of devices in your environment. The next topic to consider is your deployment choices. It really comes down to two. It's either a cloud SaaS-based solution or it's on-premise. So let's take a look at each of these. Both of these solutions will require a server and a database to support your MDM solution. However, in the cloud, that is provided for you. On-premise, that's up to you to provide. For on-premise, you're also going to have to consider things such as backups and even disaster recovery support. Again, from a cloud solution that's provided, on-premise it is not. Both of these solutions will have a need for administrative support. In the cloud, the basic day-to-day operations still have to be done by you. On-premise, however, not only do you have to do that, but you're also going to have to deal with the replications, disaster recovery, the backup, and the server maintenance as well. Simply remember that even with a SaaS-based or cloud-based solution, you're still going to have some administrative work that needs to be done on a daily basis. So what is the right choice for you? Well, that's going to depend. If you have a need to get your mobile environment up and running as quickly as possible, probably a SaaS cloud-based solution. It'll allow you to get there quicker. However, we will need to note that as far as the expense, having an on-premise solution up front will cost more because of servers, databases, and all the other activities in place. In a cloud SaaS-based solution, you are paying a subscription fee over time and will continue to do so for the life cycle of your MDM solution. As a rule of thumb, for an on-premise solution, have at least 1,000 mobile devices to be supported. What is the ultimate goal of our MDM solution? Well, one of them is end-user productivity. It's really having the user be able to access corporate data from their mobile device anywhere in the world. In order for this to happen, any MDM provider, and whether it's SaaS solution, cloud-based, or on-premise, will have to put some type of gateway inside of your DMZ in order to access applications and services on the other side of the firewall. Common integrations are things such as Active Directory, Exchange ActiveSync, possibly SharePoint or file systems, or other CMS or CRMs that are connected internally on your network. Check with your vendor and make sure that all the list of your resources you need to have your mobile environment attached to for productivity's sake is supported by their MDM solution. Other interesting things to make sure that your end users are productive is the ability for your MDM provider to support certain key features, such as a user-integrated self-service portal. How many times do you want help desk being disturbed by somebody needing to reset their password, or maybe locate or wipe their device if they think they lost it? Also, does the vendor support a single sign-on, so that the applications, VPN, and container can all be accessed from within their mobile device? And of course, lastly, from the MDM perspective, is what is their support model? Make sure it's 24/7, and are there different levels of support before you buy your MDM solution? As we near the end of the presentation, we can take a look at what we learned and realize we were creating a customer checklist. We should understand mobility. What is MDM and all the subcomponents? What does it mean to control applications and documents on a mobile device? And even malware protection on these devices. Speaking of devices, we should also be able to now understand the impact of the different type of devices we bring into our environment. Are they all corporate devices? Are we supporting BYOD? Do we have a need to bring in laptops? Or does your organization even need to bulk purchase some devices for an MDM deployment? Considering the deployment, we have two different choices: cloud, SaaS solution, or on-premise. We should have a little better understanding of what the costs are related to each of these solutions. With user productivity, you have to have a little bit of an understanding of what type of information your users are going to have access to. Do we need to support an email and browser? And if so, does it need to be secure? What about a secure container if we had personal or sensitive information? Also a self-service portal so that users can help themselves with different issues, and an application store. So as a company, you can produce applications and publish them for users to download to their mobile devices. And of course, we want to provide all of these features to our mobile community, but we want to keep in mind our company security requirements. You need to have these documented and make sure your MDM solution can support the security requirements for your organization, from everything from detecting jailbroken and rooted devices, from enforcing passcodes, and if you need to do extra advanced features such as locking the camera or geofencing or encryption. Please make sure your mobile provider can provide all these things on your security requirements.